Shavir here from Finance Babe. Welcome to another episode, another live stream where we are going to be featured one of our speaker of the summit, the feminine CFO. And I hope that she gets in soon over here. But in the meantime, before we bring her in, yesterday, let me bring this up over here. There you go. So I have been teaching you 5 steps to achieve financial freedom, and there might be a couple of steps in between, but these are probably the main ones that we want to be focused on. And I expand a lot about these steps in my course, Finance Babe Academy. So if you want to learn even more how to become a finance babe and become a certified finance babe, make sure that you inquire about Finance Babe Academy. Now, what I was saying yesterday, right, and in this week, I have been talking that the first thing that we need to do in order to start a financial journey is identify our gap. After we identify a gap, we want to see if that is aligned with our priorities and values. And if you don't remember what is the gap, or you don't know what it is because you were not in the live stream from the past 2 days, make sure that you tune in and check that out, and also the featured speakers that we have at that time. And then once we identify priorities and value, the first thing that we want to do is create short-term investments. There are peace of mind fund in case of any emergency. And then finally, after that, this is with the ones that two that we are going to be discussing today, is going to be long-term investments. And there are many ways that we can create long-term investments. The most common one is 401ks, IRAs, but there are other investments that a lot of people are not aware of, about, that are low risk, right? Oh, the stock market, that might be a long-term investment as well. But there are other investments that we will discuss in Finance Babe Academy that are lower risk, and they are even tax-free or tax exempt, and that will allow you to create more income, compounded interest along the line, like a longer term investment. And we talk about that in Finance Babe Academy. So, but today I want to talk about the last one, investor, because there are many ways. Once you put all of these pieces in place and you become an investor, that is your financial freedom. That's what's guarantee financial freedom. And there are many ways that we can create this type of investment, become an investor. You can buy businesses. It can be through real estate. And today I'm going to introduce you to somebody that was featured today in our Feminine CFO online show. And she's going to be expanding about this. One of the ways that we can create more passive income or even more cash flow that are going to help us to have more financial freedom, and the lifestyle that we actually want. And her name is Zeona McIntyre, and she is the author. And I had to put my glasses. Sorry about that. She is the author of 30 days stay, and what that means is a midterm rental strategy. And she went from $50,000 in debt to become financially free in 2 years with Airbnb. And guys, this is not something that she started 10 years ago, 20 years ago. This is something that she started pretty recently. So we can do this. And like I mentioned yesterday, this is the best time because the market right now is in construction, and there's a recession, there's inflation, there's so many things that this is a time where opportunities come about. So if we are alert and aware of this, and we understand what to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and we set our goals and an intention, we can actually achieve it. So again, please welcome Zeona McIntyre. Hi, Zeona. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me here.
Can you hear me? I cannot hear you.
I unmuted myself, so you should
I
hear me
can
now.
hear you.
Okay.
Let's see. Hold on a moment. Let me see if it's my mic. 1 second. It might be on my end. Sound. Okay. MacBook. MacBook. And okay, try now.
I'm here.
Perfect. I
Mhm.
can hear you. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. All
Yeah.
right, welcome. I really, first of all, I want to thank you for being part of the Feminine CFO, Secrets to Shatter Financial Barriers to Lead, Thrive, and Achieve Your Dreams. And you are an amazing example of this, the type of women that has become their own CFO, have taken charge of their life, and have created what is allowing you to succeed, achieve your dream, but also lead, help other women or help other people to achieve the same. So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah. I'm just grateful to be here. Thanks.
All right. So first of all, if you guys have not read the book that she partnered with, it was Bigger Pockets, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They Stay is amazing. It's like I read it from beginning to end. I love it. I'm about to sign 2 leases right now to do midterm rentals. I'm pretty excited. I had one that was a short-term rental, and that one, the lease is ending right now, and I decided to move into this other strategy and even property management. So that's another thing that is going to bring me more cash flow and also more passive income. So I'm looking forward to it. So Fiona, I know that you provided a presentation during the event, but can you tell us a little bit about you and your journey through this new way or way that now a lot of people are getting to know, which is the midterm rentals?
Yeah. So I've been doing short-term rentals for a while, but midterm rentals I started in COVID. So do you want my story from the very beginning, or do you want my story kind of how I did the transition?
No, we want to know it all.
Okay, great. Yeah, I don't actually think I went into this in the presentation because I was really just talking about the topic. So I did start a while back. I know you told people I just kind of got started. I did achieve financial independence in 2 years, but that was a long time ago. But you still could do that in 2 years. I love real estate because I think you can achieve financial independence so much faster than just investing in index funds, which is kind of the true or the typical path of the financial independence person. So if you're following the FIRE movement, you see people investing in index funds. But my story started kind of by chance. A friend of mine told me about Airbnb back in 2012. And he was living in New York City. So in the cities, you kind of hear about all the latest, greatest things. And he said he had just gotten laid off of work and he was totally burnt out and he wanted to just go travel. But he had this really expensive lease payment every month for his apartment. And so he said, I heard about this Airbnb thing. I think I'm just going to try it out. So he started renting out his apartment on Airbnb. And after a year, he made $50,000 on this apartment that he didn't even own. And so I was like, whoa, back then $50,000 was kind of like $100,000. It was like a pretty good salary. And I'd never made that much money. I was like in college and I thought that was super impressive. So I said, you know what, let me just try it. And what happened for me is I had a roommate. There's a little bit of an echo. Is there a way to stop that?
I'm sorry.
There's a bit of an echo. Well, it comes and goes. Okay, I'm gonna just try to keep going. It's just a little distracting. So when I started, I had a roommate and I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment that I was just renting. And she left and moved on. And so I decided to rent out her room on Airbnb and just kind of try it out. And it rented so well that her room was renting. And then I eventually started renting my room and moved onto having more apartments. And so for a long time, I was doing what people call arbitrage, which is just renting and subleasing apartments on Airbnb. And it wasn't until 2 years in that I was able to buy a property, and that helped me become financially independent. And from there, I've bought out of state. I now own in 5 states. So I help a lot of people invest out of state because often you can't afford where you live
Yeah,
to start investing. So there are options at any price point.
that's great. And what would you say to somebody that doesn't know anything about real estate?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's tricky, but generally my favorite foot in the door way to get into real estate investing is to buy the property that you're going to live in and to house hack it. So you can house hack in a lot of different ways. You could get a property with a lot of bedrooms and rent out each room and have more of like a community in your house. And that's great for people that are younger, but sometimes when people are older, they don't want to live with anyone else, right? So often you can find homes where there's an ADU or a basement apartment or something where you could be separate. The way I did it is I would go pet sit. I would go stay in people's houses watching their pets, which I'm actually doing right now. And then I would rent out my home on Airbnb because I had just a 1 bedroom apartment when I started. That was like all I could afford. So yeah, you can really do it at any budget. And last thing is just the way you said that you're doing some property management. Property management is hard work, but it's a great way to get started if you have $0. I know that you wanted to give an opportunity for someone, an example of what could you do if you had no money. What you can do is you can learn how to do property management, and that not only gives you great experience for your own properties, but it allows you to create cash flow off of properties that you didn't have to furnish, you don't have to own, right? So it's $0 in, and then you're making money right away.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about that? Like, how does that kind of look like? You don't have to say everything, but like, uh, like maybe 3 to 5 steps that normally people that wants to become a property manager take.
Yeah. So, I mean, it depends what kind of property management you're going to do. If you're doing short term rental property management, you don't need a license. If you're going to do midterm or long term rental, you need a license. So, you have to be either a property manager or a real estate agent. So, just make sure you know for what the rules are where you live before you get started. But if you wanted to just start with short term rentals, the best way to start is either on your own place, because we all live somewhere. Even if you're a renter, you might be able to rent your place here and there for a few weekends, or with friends and family because they already trust you. So just letting everyone maybe that's on social media or an email blast, telling them, hey, I'm going to be doing property management, and giving them a little bit of background on how you're learning about it. Maybe you're reading some great books or you've got a mentor or something so they feel confident in your skills. And then it's great practice, right? And really, the tenets of property management is being available and being responsive, right? Because you just want to be there to help people if they've got a maintenance issue or a cleaning issue. So it's not rocket science, but it's just being, around your phone and having good contacts, and also being someone who is a little more solutions oriented rather than just freaking out. You have to kind of go, okay, here's happening. I got to do the next step. Who do I call? I'm going to fix it. Right. So,
Great tip.
yeah.
That's a great tip. Know yourself. Like, how are you gonna react, or if you're gonna, be able to handle any type of emergency. So tell us
Yeah.
now, because you started with the short-term rental. What happened that made you transition to mid-term rentals? Because this is pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, so with short-term rentals, I first had my own properties that I started buying out of state. And at that same time, I started managing a bunch of properties for people. And I got to the place where I was managing up to 60 rentals in 5 countries. So I was really managing, like really spread out. And I got kind of burnt out on it and said, I really want to like scale back and do a little bit less. So one thing you'll find with doing short-term rental management is that it's a lot of turnover. So there's a lot of cleanings happening, more supplies to buy for the home, and guests, because the guests are always figuring out the home and have questions. So there's just a lot of moving parts. And when I found midterm rentals, I was like, wow, I can really relax. Having guests for longer stays is really nice. And so what happened for me is right around COVID, I knew I needed to make a big pivot, because what happened, it was about, gosh, I think like March 8th, 2020. It really was one day to the next that everyone was going into quarantine, and all the bookings that we had on Airbnb just canceled. So overnight, we were losing like 2 months of bookings off of our calendars. And there was nothing we could do about it. So I knew that I had to try to pivot somehow. And so all of a sudden, I was starting to get inquiries for longer stays. People needed more space because they were working from home, they had their kids at home. There were people quarantining that couldn't go to their families yet from travel. And there were also people coming in that were doing relief work. So a lot more nurses, military, different people like that. And so I started to see, wow, there's people making inquiries for these longer stays, and it's all still happening online. So even these properties that I'm not in the same state, I don't have to go and do a tour of the house like I would for a long-term rental. They're still booking online. It's a very similar service to what I was doing with short-term rental, but it's so much easier. So I found this little sweet spot and I just loved it. So now I'm really trying to do mostly midterm.
That's awesome. And so again, when there's a will, there's a way, right? You were able to
Mhm.
adapt, to pivot during that time of COVID. And now that things, with COVID has like kind of like slowed down a little bit, like are you still getting the same midterm, need? Is it still the same?
Yeah, I mean, it's really become part of the culture now. I found that since COVID, before COVID, we had about 7% of the US workforce that could work from anywhere. And after COVID, it was over 40%. And now a couple of people are being called back into the office. So it's not going to stay that high. But even if it just goes down a little bit, there's still a lot of demand. And this is something people have gotten used to and they actually really like. So you are seeing a lot more of these digital nomads where they're saying, okay, cool, I'm going to go live in Austin for a month and then go to Hawaii or something like that. And so there's a lot of that hopping around happening. So there's demand there, but there's also a lot of demand in spaces that have existed this whole time. So traveling nurses, that's always been and will always be. It wasn't just a COVID thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that, and if you guys want to learn the other type of clients that look for midterm rentals, I have two suggestions. The first one is, and I'm going to put the link for your book here because
Mhm.
Ziona is actually giving us a 10% off on the book. But make sure to join us at the Feminine CFO and you will be able to listen to her presentation where she talks about the other type of clients that are looking for midterm rentals. So, Siona, and so how were you able with all of this uh, shatter your financial barriers?
Interesting. I mean, I feel like I'm still shattering them. I was listening to a
It's
book
a work
this
in progress,
morning.
right? Definitely a work
Yes.
in progress.
Yeah, I was listening to a book this morning and I just noticed that it's kind of like the glass ceiling effect where it's like you grow a little bit, but then you hit something and you're kind of stuck and then you grow a little bit more. So, yeah, it's a work in progress for sure.
It is. It is a work in progress. But like, what does doing what you're doing right now, what is that allowed you to do right now?
Oh my goodness. I mean, everything. It's even just having one short-term rental property. So when I got started and I owned my property, it allowed me to travel the world and just live off of this one property. So it's surprising. A lot of people think, oh, well, then I'm gonna have 10 properties before I can do what I want to do. And it just depends on how frugal you're willing to be and where you want to travel to. If you're going to expensive places, sure, you need more money. If you're going to Colombia or, some
You
other
in
cheaper
Colombia,
places.
Mexico, right? I think you even purchased a property from Mexico. Is that correct?
I didn't. I sold a property in
So,
Mexico because I'm a real estate agent and I have a friend who's a developer there. So I sold a property.
I mean, you were
Yeah.
in Mexico when you were like
Mhm.
buying a property in the US, or was it still
Oh, yeah.
it was
Mhm.
part of you?
Totally. Yeah, you can close on a property from anywhere. It's all just, where can you sign and all the digital signatures these days. So, yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah. So again, there's so many possibilities. Is that sometimes we feel that we cannot do this when to the contrary, like we just have to get educated, right? Find the answers or get curious about looking for the answers, and then we can achieve all of these different things. And I'm curious, now that you mentioned that you are staying at a house taking care of a pet, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so pet sitting is my favorite travel hack. And nowadays, I used to just kind of do it by word of mouth, but nowadays they have great apps for it. And I use an app called Trusted House Sitters. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, I've got all kinds of information about how to best to optimize your app experience there. But we do tons of pet sitting because in Boulder, where I live, um, we are allowed to rent out our home short term up to 6 months. And so we really try to ride that line of being out of our home as much as possible. And while we don't get paid from the pet sitting directly, it's like a trade. We do get paid because our home is rented on Airbnb for an average of like $300 a night. So we get to stay in like really amazing homes all over the world. We're going to Maui after this for a pet sitting gig.
Nice.
hmm
Nice.
So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, so I have done the same, and it actually has allowed me to open my mind about all the possibilities of, because my vision is travel, and
hmm
this has allowed me to expand my vision on all of the possibilities on where to go. At the moment, the pet sitting that I've been doing is local in order for me to gain experience, to get the reviews, etc. But then at the same time, it's allowed me um, to do other things that, if otherwise, if I was at my house, I would not be able to do anyway. So yes, there's a lot of advantages to open your mind and look at what are the other options that we can do in order to create more options, more income, more cash flow. And look at that. Fiona is now going to Maui, Hawaii, doing that. And she doesn't even have to pay for a hotel, right?
Yeah. And you can do it really anywhere, but all over Europe, Australia, the US. So it's very exciting.
That's awesome. So what would be the last nugget, golden nugget that you would like to share with the audience about midterm rentals or short-term rentals, or traveling abroad and still make money?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really about taking baby steps because I think people generally get overwhelmed. That's what I hear about the most is people have analysis paralysis and they're just trying to do too much. So if you're in that position, how can you break down a mountain of a task? So maybe you're like, oh, I want to get my first short-term rental and that looks really far away. But what if you could just say, okay, the very first step is I just need to get pre-approved and maybe I'll see how much I can afford. And then that will help me decide which area do I want to buy in. Because a lot of times people are looking at a map of the US and saying, oh my gosh, I can buy anywhere. But your budget and your goals determine your market.
Yes.
And so that does help you refine it a little bit. So, yeah, just making little baby steps so that you are taking action every day and you're moving forward towards your goals.
Absolutely. And let's say that somebody cannot buy the property. Do you think that it's still
Mhm.
possible to do midterm rentals?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do it different ways. So you can buy, but you can also arbitrage. So that's like rent and re-rent. And that's not as cheap to start as property management, but you could also property manage. So with arbitrage, you generally have to rent the property. So you need the security deposit and the rent and then furniture. So it could be, maybe $15,000 or $20,000, depending where you're at. So it is still an investment, but that's cheaper than maybe putting a down payment on a home and closing costs and everything, which could be $100,000, right? So it's
Yeah.
nice to know the middle ground and the different options.
Yeah, definitely. So just to share a little bit about the properties that I'm getting this week, one is completely furnished already. So I was
Awesome.
able to negotiate that, and which is great. And it has a ton of amenities, which is great for this type of rentals. And the other one is not furnished, But again, if you guys have not read the 30-day stay, Ziona shared a lot of tips on how to furnish. So, like, if you're kind of like in a tight budget, she will share with you on that book what you can do in order to furnish the property. And if you already have the funds, then like it will be an easier ride, because she also talks about that part as well. The benefits on doing it pretty quickly as well. So make sure
Yeah.
to take advantage of that book. I put the link here. So if you guys want, she's giving a 10% off on the book, correct?
Yeah.
Was there a
Mhm.
code? I don't remember, or is this the link
Yes.
to take
The
you?
code is my name, Zeona.
Oh, that's right.
So
Okay.
Zeona. Mm-hmm.
Okay. There you go. Oh, let me put it code. Boom. Siona. There you go. So that way, you guys can take advantage of that and read a little bit more about this, and ultimately, like I mentioned, become an investors, because that's what can guarantee our passive income, more cash flow, and to be able to do the things that are more important to you. So again, thank you, Siona, for being here. I don't know. I don't see any questions. Does anybody has any questions before we let Siona go? Let's see. I'm gonna wait 30 seconds. Anyone has any questions for Ziona? Let's see. 10 more seconds. If not, then you can put it in the comments, and we will make sure to answer the questions. But again, take advantage of the book. All the answers are there. So again, thank you, Siona, for being here, and I really appreciate you being part of the Feminine CFO, and definitely looking forward to future collaborations with you.
Awesome. Have a good day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.
So there you have it, guys. There's a lot of ways that we can create cash flow, that we can create passive income. It's just a matter of being, like being thrifty, or a matter of like of being okay. Well, if this doesn't work this way, how can I make it work? And I think curiosity is one of the best ways for you to be able to get answers. Ask other people, read books, become educated. And that is exactly what we teach at the Finance Babe Academy that I've been talking about this week. If you guys want to join me in Finance Babe Academy, make sure to give, like to send me a message that you're interested, so I can put you in the wait list. I will be sending more information if you are part of the event and part of my email list, because that's where I mostly send the information about Finance Babe Academy. And let me hide this. There you go. And I want to talk about something else today, aside from this chart that I was telling you about. And I'm going to type it down here right away. And it's called the 2190 rule. 2190 rule. Have you guys ever heard of the 2190 rule? So, the 2190 rule, we're talking about habits here. And it was said before that in order to create a habit, you need to do the same thing over and over again for 21 days. However, when it comes to resolutions, right at the beginning of the year, a lot of times we put our own, we create resolutions. But after 2 weeks, for the most part, at least 90% or more of the people, they have already gave up on their New Year's resolutions. But if you had stick to it to for 21 days or more, most likely you will be able to change your habits. And change can be challenging, but it's also the path of growth and progress. And today I want to explore the powerful principle of the 21-90-day rule, because um, in 21 days, you can create a habit, but in 90 days, you will be able to create a lifestyle. And the 21-90 rule is based on the concept that takes 90 days, right? I'm sorry, 21 days to create a habit, but to make it permanent, to make it a lifestyle, you have to do the same thing, or you have to create that for 90 days. And this rule is a guide to help us to move from sporadic action to ingrained behaviors. And this is about letting go of the instant gratification and to embrace anticipation. So if you let's say that you want to reach a goal in 90 days, and you are focused on it, and you are intentional about following this rule, then you are going to be able to when you put that habit and that goal and you're set on that, you are creating a lifestyle. And in the realm of personal finance, the 21-90-day rule can be pivotal, because if whether is it that you're sticking to a spending plan, or you are reducing unnecessary expenses by sticking to a budget, or you are consistently saving, this rule can guide us from aspiration to action to habit. And the first 3 weeks can be challenging, right? To make the financial changes that we need and make them stick. But if you choose a personal goal, which is one of the first thing that I make you do during the finance babe academy, is about choosing a specific goal that you are going to be tracking on a daily basis, and you are going to commit to it for that 21 days. And after that habit is formed, and with the things that I'm going to be teaching you in finance babe academy, you are going to start solidifying the change. You are going to continue with the habits for that 90 days, to the point that you are going to create a lifestyle around finances. And by the end of that period, by the end of that 90 days, that financial behavior will transform your life significantly. Not only because you stuck to the habit and the behavior, but it also because you are going to feel that you have achieved something big. You have finished something that you started, right? It's creating a new character, a new identity for you. So, um, to make the journey easier, I have curated um, things that are going to help to stay on track for that 21 and 90 days inside the Finance Babe Academy. And yes, it's not going to be smooth. I have clients that has fell off the boat at some point, and they feel awful. They call me crying. But remember, this is not about feeling guilty, embarrassed, feeling upset. No, this is about transition, right? This is about recognizing, hey, you know what? I fell off the boat, but I'm getting back, because I have a purpose, right? So sometimes we make things, or the stories that we have carried from the past, still affect us still today. And during the Finance Babe Academy, we are going to release all of those stories, because sometimes the stories that we have created in our mind about ourselves, about experiences that we have in the past, are false. They're things that we have created, are not even real. There's things that and energy and negative energy that we have surrounding other people sometimes, that the other people are not even aware of, and we are killing ourselves because of that, right? Or again, there are experiences of our money, common roadblocks that we are turning into action, we are turning it into strategy, and we are going to overcome all of those things and stay committed to our new financial habits. Why? Because the destination in this path is financial freedom, right? So it's not just about the journey, it's about where we want to go. And yes, we are going to enjoy our journey, but we are going to be intentional about reaching our goal. So again, I want to make sure that I empower you and that you feel confident about managing your money, about learning how money works. And all of these things are going to be happening inside Finance Babe Academy. We are going to conquer credit. We are going to get rid of debt. We are going to learn about the investments, about investing. And we are powerful when we are powerful when it comes to investing. We are going to learn um, about the choices that we make sometimes when we create assets, how to create passive income even while we sleep, like what we discussed today with Zeona. And of course, real estate, as I mentioned, is a big part of it, right? Because real estate is probably one of the biggest way to create that cash flow or to create passive income, depending on where you buy or depending on where you invest. And then we are going to put everything in a way that is going to allow us, give us that time freedom, right? We're going to automate and put everything on autopilot. And I will be teaching you that on Finance Babe Academy. So if you want to learn about that, make sure to put in the comments FBA, F as finance, B as babe, and academy as academy, A as academy. So FBA, and then I will send you more information about that. So thank you again for being here. If you guys have any additional questions, if you guys are looking to work directly with me one-on-one, make sure to go to financebay.com to the calendar and make an appointment and let's chat. Let's check to see if it's even a good fit. And because if it's not, I will guide you and will send you to the right place. But again, it's about asking yourself, am I living my vision? Am I living the life that I want? Is this the life that I want to live? Or am I going to take charge of my money and take charge and full responsibility of the things that I'm doing that are going to allow me to achieve those goals? So again, this is Sarah Xavier, creator and founder of Finance Babe. Make sure to tune in, sorry, not tune out, tune in tomorrow because we are going to be talking a little bit more. I have a challenge for you for tomorrow and Friday, and we are going to be expanding more on the feminine CFO, how you can become a feminine CFO, how you can take charge of your money. Well, thank you so much and make it a great day.